Hey, I'm Evan. So for the second video project, I chose the at-risk youth case study about Jimmy, the 17-year-old teenager. So some of his problems are he's in trouble with the legal system for drug possession, motor vehicle infractions. He was kicked out of high school for drug use, and he's been using alcohol and marijuana since he was 13. He's most recently been using ecstasy. And a reason for the drug uses is that his father isn't really home. Um, he believes the police are corrupt. He had isolated himself and has become more aggressive and angry. And he's pretty stuck and doesn't really know how to move on. Some of his strengths are his 16-year-old brother has seen a therapist. Jimmy knows the police have a job to do. He realizes there are consequences for drug use and could go to prison, and his mother could be arrested for possession of the drugs, which bothered him. He was very active in sports and extracurricular activities in the past, and he was a very social student. He would really like to go back to high school, has done some service projects, and enjoys helping others. Has never heard of an RT before, but is willing to give it a try. So here are the outcomes I came up with. So one outcome, he could express his feelings, which are anger, aggression, confusion, with paint on a portrait and avoid being aggressive towards others. So he would use different colors of paint and express those colors as feelings on a portrait. And the second outcome would be you let the painting be a very calming, relaxing experience in order to diminish his anger and aggression. So the activity to address these problems and outcomes are the expressive arts therapy. Now this is the activity analysis. So the modality would be the self-esteem programs, description of activity, the expressive arts therapy, type of play, painting a portrait, interaction pattern. I said extra individual. So be told to paint different colors for different feelings of emotion on a portrait, like I said. The equipment would be a 16 by 20 size portrait, a portrait stand, a few brushes, a small, medium, and large one. Um, some water to clean the brushes, and some rags to dry them off. So I'm estimating the cost of this would be $100, and I could probably get that at Staples. And he could be doing this in a group too, so if there were other participants, they would be like 3 to 5 feet apart and painting their own thing. The facility would require be like an unused classroom or some room, or a painting learning center. I know there's a couple downtown, like there's the Muse Paint Bar in the Old Port. Clothing required, I'd say older ragged clothes that you really care about in case you get paint on them. Gender identification, activities not gender specific, but does include Jimmy, the 17-year-old male. Type of tasks, single. Structure of activity, free for the participants, I think would be good. Noise level of activity, minimal, but there can be some calming music playing, but it shouldn't be too loud. Number of rules, I'd say few. Complexity of them, simple. Leadership required, a couple um, people supervising, just to make sure they're um, doing okay. Possible adaptations to the activity. Um, put mats on the floor in case the floor doesn't get caught with paint. Um, they can be standing while painting, or they can sit down on a chair to paint if that's more comfortable for them, and make sure the environment is welcoming for them. Some precautions are don't paint others, don't eat the paint, and don't throw it across the room if they have temper tantrums or something. Some special considerations are could come up with an opportunity to show the portraits at an art show if it's really artistic and colorful. They could have a competition to make them more focused, or it can just be a free paint if they just want to do it for fun. Um, some processing questions they can think about is how they feel and why they feel that way, while they paint the different colors of their different emotions on the portrait. Some preparation work to complete prior is set everything up: the mats, portrait stands for the portraits, a table with the paint, brushes and water, rags, and a chair if they want to sit down to think or paint. Time factors are do the activity after a meal or soon after a meal. I'd say so their expressions won't be because of the desired food. I'm going to want them to think deeper about their inner emotions and feelings. The estimated duration of the activity be an hour. Let's say a half hour to paint, and then a half hour for everyone to explain what they painted and what it means to them. The speed of performance during the activity is pretty flexible. I don't want it to be too strict. Possible delays if someone doesn't want to cooperate. Um, if it's too boring for them, if they get stuck and can't think of what to paint or which colors to use. Some inherent skills. No painting skills required, but should have a broad idea of what certain colors mean related to specific feelings. So if they're like colorblind, then this activity probably might not work for them. Directionality, left, right, up, down, around, just any direction, I guess, to paint on the portrait. Emotional and psychological factors. So guilt. They might have past experiences of feeling ashamed of oneself not doing something when they should have. So with all these, they can use a specific paint color to describe these. They can even write them out on the portrait if they want. Emotional pain, seems sad most of the time and don't know how to be happy. Anger, has many temper tantrums or may be physically violent. Fear, may be afraid of something like change, illusions, dreams, and people. Frustration, don't know how to figure something out and not sure what next step to take. Hope and optimism, may feel hopeful that they'll get better, but not for a very long time, or may not feel any hope at all. Creativity, may have an open mind, like their own fantasy world, and can now paint it. Their inner strength, they can paint how they feel about themselves or how they view others if they so choose. Growth and development, express their feelings so they don't have to feel trapped anymore, especially if they're depressed or something. Sense of connection, belonging, be in a group who feel the same way and realize that they're not alone or have similar interests. Sense of control power, learn to have control of themselves and not let their sickness control them. So it's like a learning process. Painting, getting their emotions out, and making them be able to feel that they can control how they feel, not let their illness control them. Sense of competence, mastery. Learn what talents they have and what they're good at, and maybe painting if they haven't tried it before. Sense of freedom, autonomy. Finally feel like they can drop all the weight off their shoulders and feel better. Sense of identity. Learn to embrace and accept themselves for who they are. Positive emotions of escalation. Enjoy the activity to the fullest. Every opportunity is a chance to get better or move forward. Positive emotions of de-escalation. Don't feel so stressed anymore. Have a calmer peace of mind and relax better. Positive emotions of well-being. They can finally feel rejuvenated, feel brand new, satisfied, and can start over and leave the past in the past. And in the end, after they explain what they painted with all the different colors, if this activity didn't work for them, then say the supervisor could encourage them to try something else that they would be interested in. Thanks.